This man from Harbin has a simple plan to take over Seoul's Chinatown in 30 days. He starts by doubling a man's debt, teaching the locals their first lesson with his shattered arm. He firmly believes fear is the only universal currency. But what he doesn't know is that in this neighborhood, the final authority keeping order isn't a gang. It's a cop with fists as hard as concrete. His name is Zhang Qian, founder of the Black Dragon Gang. He arrives with two reckless brothers at his side. He specializes in loan sharking his own people. A debt of 100 million won becomes 200 million by the time he finishes a cigarette. The victim begs for mercy, and he grants it. One arm knocks off 10 million, break all four limbs, and the debt is reduced by 40 million. He bleeds every debtor dry, but never lets them die easily. Because the fear of living is worth more than death. Meanwhile, on the other side of the neighborhood, monster cop Ma Suk-do is chasing down a knife-wielding thug. After a chase across 5 blocks, it ends with one crushing punch. The thug pulls a knife. But in Ma Suk-do's eyes, it's nothing but a futile struggle. He disarms him barehanded and drops him in a single move. In the interrogation room, the suspect refuses to talk. Ma Suk-do has his own methods. He takes the suspect to a corner with no cameras, what he calls the room of truth. After a dose of truth by iron fist, the suspect spills everything. Ma Suk-do's job is to maintain the fragile balance in this chaotic neighborhood. In his precinct, there are 2 major gangs, the Viper Gang and the Yishui Gang. Their bosses are Hyo Song-tae and Zhang Yishui. To stop an all-out gang war, Ma Suk-do steps in himself and forces the 2 sworn enemies to shake hands and make peace. They even took a group photo as proof of peace between the 2 sides. He thought this crude approach could keep the powder keg from blowing up for a while. But Zhang Qian's arrival lit the fuse for good. The unlucky punk whose arm Zhang Qian smashed belonged to Su Qingtai's crew. Su Qingtai led his men out for revenge, convinced that the Viper Gang's name alone would be enough to crush these 3 outsiders. He was wrong. Zhang Qian pulled a knife without a moment's hesitation. Stabbing again and again, he killed Su Qingtai right in front of everyone. In a matter of seconds, a gang boss was finished. The Viper Gang members there were utterly stunned by the beast's brutality, and no one dared move. Without firing a single shot, Zhang Qian took over the entire Viper Gang. Not long after, a bloody incident broke out at a KTV. The manager tried to stop Zhang Qian's men from harassing the hostesses, and had his arm hacked off alive. At that moment, Ma Suk-do was drinking with Boss Huang, a local Chinese businessman, in the private room next door. When he snapped out of his drunken haze and rushed out of the room, all he saw was chaos and blood all over the floor. Through the surveillance footage, he saw Zhang Qian's cold face for the first time. The manhunt had begun. Ma Suk-do and his team were eating at a restaurant when they happened to run into Zhang Qian and his 2 men. Zhang Qian was extremely alert. From the notepad on their table and the sneakers on their feet, he instantly figured out. They were cops. Rookie Detective Hong Suk stepped forward to test the waters. But Zhang Qian hurled a pot of boiling oil at his face, ruining half of it. In the chaos, Zhang Qian got away again. That clash came at a terrible cost for Ma Suk-do. The rookie detective left major crimes out of fear. Zhang Qian's power kept growing. His next target was the Yishui Gang. Boss Zhang Yishui was better than Su Qingtai at reading the situation. After seeing what Zhang Qian was capable of, he chose to swallow his pride and give up his turf. But it was only a temporary measure. He secretly rallied his men and trashed the arcade Zhang Qian had taken. Then he set an ambush and waited for retaliation. Sure enough, Zhang Qian's bald enforcer walked right into the trap. He came alone for revenge and ended up surrounded. At the critical moment, Ma Suk-do arrived with the police. He broke up the gang fight and took on the bald thug himself. Completely overpowered, the bald thug was knocked out by Ma Suk-do and arrested. During interrogation, the bald thug refused to break and even tried to bite off his tongue. The case hit another dead end. To get revenge and rescue his man, Zhang Qian escalated things. He stirred up chaos at the birthday banquet for Zhang Yishui's mother. Through the smoke, he charged in like a ghost, axe in hand, slaughtering everyone in his path. Zhang Yishui fought desperately, but in the end he fell in a pool of blood. By then, Zhang Qian had completely wiped out the 2 local gangs in Chinatown. Ma Suk-do was under enormous pressure from his superiors. He was given only 10 days to crack the case. So he came up with a plan, using 2 informants to pose as Chinese police. Under the pretext of extradition, he deliberately let the bald thug go. He was betting on Zhang Qian's paranoia and on his greed. To make it look real, he even had the informant carry white powder as bait. The plan was half a success. Zhang Qian was suspicious. But tempted by the white powder, he agreed to the deal. But he used a decoy move and left Ma Suk-do's arrest operation empty-handed. He sent his men to the deal site to draw away the police. He personally led his men to take out the final target, Boss Huang of the KTV. Boss Huang was hunted like a stray dog. He ran all the way to the front of the police station. But Zhang Qian still caught up and drove a knife through his thigh. Just as Zhang Qian was about to finish him off, Hong Shua, already transferred out of major crimes, spotted him. The former cop's fighting spirit flared up, and he tailed him all the way. Then he reported Zhang Qian's hideout to Ma Sukdu. The final manhunt unfolded at the junkyard. Ma Sukdu rammed his car into Zhang Qian and saved Hong Shua, who was about to be silenced. After a brutal fight, Zhang Qian fled for his life again. He ran into a snack bar and murdered the innocent owner and his grandson, his brutality knowing no limits. The final showdown erupted in an airport restroom. No onlookers, no rules, just the rawest kind of fight between two men. Zhang Qian used every vicious trick he had: glass shards, joint locks. But against Ma Sukdu's overwhelming power, it was all useless. Ma Sukdu absorbed the blows. His fists were there for revenge. Punch after punch, for the maimed Hong Shua, for the gang that was slaughtered, and for the elderly and child who died so horribly. He wrenched Zhang Qian's arm and snapped his wrist. He paid him back in full with the very pain he had inflicted on others. With one final crushing punch, the beast from Harbin finally went down. Ma Sukdu dragged his battered body out of the restroom. He had won a brief moment of peace for the neighborhood. But he knew evil would never truly end. And his iron fist of justice would always be ready for the next fight.